Classic movie fans, Rick 9G here. Thank you so much for joining me today. We're going to be talking about the Three Stooges. If you don't know, I'm going through the entire Three Stooge chronology from Columbia Pictures, which spans from short number 1 all the way to short 190. And today we're going to continue that with the 65th Stooge short. It's called Even As IOU. Now, it came out September 18th, 1942, and we're nearing the end of the 1942 shorts, and we're getting into a new era, which I'll talk about in the next few episodes that I make on the Stooges. Now, this is a great one because there are so many great ones in this one, including Vernon Dent, Bud Jamison, of course the Stooges, and it's one that is not really shown much on television. It's only about 15 minutes long, and it is one that you should absolutely watch. Filming for this short took place between April 18th and the 22nd, 1942. In regards to the short itself, a mother that is poverty-stricken and her child move into the Stooges' vacant lot home, and the boys decide to help them out. Of course, they always had a wonderful heart. Now what they do, they steal the kids' piggy bank and sneak into the racetrack. Now they bet on a long shot that wins, and then are gypped out of their winnings by two con men who sell them a washed-up racehorse. Everything turns out happily as Curly swallows horse vitamins and gives birth to a colt. How crazy, but how absolutely funny. Now, a lot of the filming did take place outdoors, a little bit on the Columbia Ranch, in front of the Deeds home, on Blondie Street at the Columbia Ranch, in front of Park Boulevard on Columbia Ranch as well. Now, when the boys are running down the street, they're running in front of a residence on Park Boulevard, and Bud Jamison as the cop is running after the Stooges on Park Boulevard as well. One of the moments that I really love about this Stooge short is that there's a gag in here, press, press, pull. Now, you may know this from another Stooge short that I did cover. This took place in 1935, but I did cover the Stooge short years ago. It's called Three Little Beers. Now, in this one, the Stooges are trying to get in to the racetrack, and so they notice that other men are showing their press passes. So what do the Stooges do? They go into the restroom, take off the press buttons that are in the bathroom, except Curly grabs the pull one, and then they go press, press, pull, and then that's how they found out, of course, that these are fake press badges. Now, I do want to differentiate that the scene in this particular short, Even As IOU, isn't necessarily the same scene, but it is the same gag redone again, but it is not the same reused footage. Now, I'm sure some of you have heard of Ripley's Believe It or Not. It goes back to even the 40s. Yeah, it goes back a long time. And Mo actually requests the operator patch him through to Ripley. Yeah, believe it or not. That's his exact words. Now, this is one of the earliest mentions of Ripley's in popular media ever. Now, I mentioned before the idea of Mo mentioning the word sexy. He was the first man or first individual to say the word sexy in any movie, which is pretty mind-blowing. Now, there's also a doll gag where, the doll goes, "Mama." Now, this gag had recently been used in a Laurel and Hardy short from the 1940s called Saps at Sea. You may have seen that one, and so I did want to note that, and it would be used again in the 51 Stooge short Scrambled. Now, I always wondered this, and now I know the answer. It's a little bit strange about Curly swallowing a vitamin capsule, and then he essentially hatches a colt or a horse. Well, the idea of this, him swallowing vitamin Z, it is generated from the thought that back then, they began the use of synthetic vitamins as dietary supplements. And it was popular at the time. It was just starting. It was a new craze, but it was still experimental. And this was in the early 1940s. And so it was kind of like the idea of being quote unquote radioactive or strange things happening, like a human giving birth to a horse. And so they added that joke in this short. Now, if we go to the scene where Curly is with that gigantic horn, you can actually see a wire pulling the towel of the horn that Curly is blowing it. It's pretty funny when you actually see it. Now, we have the horse Seabiscuit, and he bites the behind of Curly, and that causes him to yell. Now, the horse actually gets startled and jumps as Curly yells. Maybe he expected this, maybe he didn't, but it's really funny to see. Also, you will notice a small blooper where Mo puts a bucket and basically hits Curly on the head with it, puts it on his head. You can see the little girl react just right before the action happens because she knows what's going to happen. They rehearsed it, but she reacts a little too quickly there, and it's a great blooper to spot. Well, that's it for this video. I thank you all for supporting my Three Stooge short deep dive where I'm looking at every single Stooge short from number 1 to number 190. We're at 65 now, and we're continuing on. I'm really excited to get to the really controversial World War II ones, and I'm going to talk all about that, all about the controversy. So there's only one more before we get into that. So we'll see you all next time. Thanks for the support. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the thumbs up button, and most importantly, be hopeful.